morning, participants. So in today's session, I'm going to cover hands-on training on Minitab with a practical example. So the agenda of this session is what is Minitab and Minitab structure, statistical features, graphics features, and I would be explaining one research problem. That is a live demonstration. So later I will give you one problem for practice. So I would be giving information how to export and how to present conclusions from the statistical analysis. Finally, let us have interaction. So I would be covering all these topics in next 90 minutes. So after that, so there will be an interaction session. You all know about a Minitab software, and being a faculty member and academic researchers, definitely you would be knowing about a Minitab, especially whoever is doing a PhD. At one point of time, you need to handle your data effectively. So for that purpose, you need to have an optimization tool. So Minitab provides a statistical analysis for large amount of data. So from Minitab software, you can get the trends of the data, you can predict, and you can analyze and you can present the data in terms of histograms, bar charts, box charts, and so on. And there is a difference between Microsoft Excel and Minitab. So you can ask one question like, in what way Minitab is different from our regular Microsoft Excel spreadsheet? So Microsoft Excel normally provides sorting of the data. You can highlight, you can summarize the data. Sometimes, for example, there is a chart. You need to have a trend. You need to have histogram, or you may require something like a Pareto chart. So for that purpose, if you use Microsoft Excel, really you can work with Excel, but it takes a lot of time to draw Pareto chart. So whereas if you use Minitab software tool, with simple clicks, within few seconds, you can extract Pareto chart for your data. So this is how Minitab works, especially based on statistical functions and mathematical functions. These features are not available in Microsoft Excel. And today, Minitab is using almost 90% of Fortune 100 companies all over the world. And some of the companies in the area like a software and business units and manufacturing industries, academic research, and Six Sigma professionals. Basically, this Minitab tool is meant for Six Sigma professionals. So if you have large amount of data in any engineering process, you can predict, you can extract, you can get the conclusions, and you can have a relationship between input and independent variables and output dependent variables. So for this purpose, we use Minitab. How exactly Minitab structure looks like? And my request to all participants, you try to install Minitab 20 version, Minitab 20 version. So try to have Minitab 20 in your laptop. So you need not worry about the license version. You can have a trial version. You can install within 5 minutes. So after completion of my introduction, I would be going and I'm explaining through Minitab software. So for that, you need to have Minitab software. If you have the software, it is easy to grasp the things quickly. So now the Minitab structure looks like this. It has got a menu bar and a toolbar, session window, worksheet, data window, graph window, and report window. So all these terminology I'm going to explain a little later. And after this, we have important feature. There are many features in Minitab, and some of the important features let us discuss. So we have basic statistics and graphics features, regression features, analysis of variance, design of experiments, statistical process control, reliability, and survival. Now, let me switch over to the Minitab software, and I would be explaining completely the application of Minitab by taking one research example. This is the Minitab initial screen, and you can see the Minitab tool icon on the desktop. The moment when you click this Minitab, so you are going to see the first screen like this. And the structure of this Minitab tool can be like this. So it has got so many windows, and this is the window where you have written a Minitab and open new project, new worksheet. This entire gray color window is called as a navigation window, or you can call it as a results window. So whatever the results you perform for the statistical data, so those results will appear in this results window. So we call it as a session window. This one is a session window. And the next one is the worksheet window. And below this, there is a worksheet. It looks like a spreadsheet, Microsoft Excel, a spreadsheet. And only the difference between this worksheet window and Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. And in Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, you can save the data automatically, but here the data is not saved automatically. This worksheet window has got different columns. C1 is a column 1, C2, C3, and so on. And also you have different rows, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So whatever the data you want to input to this Minitab, you need to input to the worksheet window. So here you need to input to this worksheet window. And there is a gray color box. This is a gray color box where you can enter the text data for a given parameter, process parameter. You can have its heading in this gray color box. And below that, you can provide inputs, numerical values. And coming to the next window is, this is a navigator window. So navigator window is used to sort out the results. For example, you are performing different operations, and if you want to move to particular operation, you want to see the results of that particular operation. By navigating this window, you can go through that results window. And the next window is graphic window. Of course, you can't see the graphic window here. The moment when I draw any plot, like a histogram or maybe a box chart or scatter plot, then only I can see the graphic window. So anyway, so we are going to see the graphic window a little later. And coming to the menu bar. So here you have different menu items starting from file, edit, data, calculator, statistics, graphics, view, help, and assistant. Of course, if you use Minitab 16 version or maybe less than Minitab 20 version, you don't have this option, predictive analytics module. So this is a special module integrated with the machine learning applications. So this feature has got only in Minitab 20, I guess. So these are the main menu items. This is called as a menu bar. And exactly below menu bar, you have toolbar. So here you have different tools, like how exactly we have in Microsoft Word. So the various tools. So here you can open, you can save the project, you can print, and so on. So this is about Minitab structure. Now, so let me start with Minitab features, important features. So here in next 90 minutes, I would be covering two important features. One is the statistic features and the second one is the graphical features. These are the two things required, especially whoever wants to write a research paper in which you require some kind of modeling for your data, where you need to analyze the data, large quantity of data, to present in terms of distributions, normal distributions, or maybe graphs, contour plots, 3D plots, histograms, residual plots, probability plots. If you want to do Anderson-Darling test, if you want to do any kind of analysis of variance, design of experiments. So everything we are going to do with this menu statics. So in statics, you have different features. So starting from basic statistics, regression, analysis of variance, design of experiments, control charts, quality tools, and so on. There are different tools you have, and under each submenu, you have again different key functions. So here I'm going to cover very important features. Basic statistics, regression, ANOVA, design of experiments using a response surface methodology, and Taguchi method. So these are the features I'm going to explain with the help of one research problem. Right. So let me explain about the basic statistics. If you have your Minitab software with you in your laptop, try to open and you can find out this feature, basic statistics, under statistics. So if you click basic statistics, you have different key functions like a display descriptive statistics, store descriptive statistics, graphical summary, and there are different options. So why you require this basic statistics? For example, you have a data and somebody is working on a project like wire electrical discharge machining or maybe any additive manufacturing process. So in additive manufacturing process, for example, you take jet binding or jet process, inkjet process, in which you have certain input independent variables like what is the flow rate and what is the material flow rate and a gas rate and the printing speed. These are some important input independent variables. And for example, you are going to study the quality of the product you are getting from additive manufacturing or 3D printing. So let us say the product, for a product, you need to understand the quality, surface quality in terms of surface roughness. So for that, you need to have initial data like standard deviation, variance, mode, standard deviation error, maximum value, minimum value, skewness, kurtosis. So like these all features you require for your data. So once you know the data, once you understand this data, so you can perform subsequent operations like design of experiments and you can do post analysis. So let me show you how to estimate all these statistical features using display descriptive statistics. So for this, let me take one example. So right now I'm having data, so which is about additive manufacturing, aerosol jet printing process, in which I'm having three input factors: shift gas flow rate, carrier gas flow rate, print speed. These are the three input variables. So for which I'm going to see my output as line edge roughness, surface roughness, and line thickness on the printed product. So source of this data is additive manufacturing, so published in 2020. So let me take this data. For this data, I'm going to explain all the statistic features. So now to work with Minitab, first you need to input the data to the Minitab worksheet window. So this is the typical data. So let me input this data to worksheet of the Minitab. So there are different options. Straight away you can type. So in this worksheet, you can have data, you can type the data, or you can directly get the data already available from any Excel. For example, this data, how we extract, how we input to this Minitab. So you select, so from Excel sheet, you can select with a simple function, and here we can paste it. My data is like this. So I have 20 data sets, population is 20. So under each independent variable, you have 20 data sets. C1, column C1, C2, C3 are related to independent variables. We call it as input, sometimes control factors. And the outputs, C4, C5 column, who are meant for outputs, we call it as responses as per the statistical terms. So our responses are line edge roughness, line thickness. So now for this data, for this data, let me calculate various statistical features like what is the mean of the data, what is the standard deviation, what is the variance, and whether this data is following normal distribution or not. So let me show you. For that, go to this statistics, click basic statistics, and then you have your display descriptive statistics. Go to this display descriptive statistics. So now here you have 5 columns. You see the data, whatever the data you have given to this worksheet window, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5 columns, those columns we can find out in this display descriptive statistics. For example, for this output line edge roughness, I need to know what is the mean of this data, what is the standard deviation. You select this one by clicking. So once you click this C4 column, so this will be moved to this variable. So you can see here line edge roughness. By variables, optional. If you want to have, you can have, otherwise you can leave it. So let me calculate statistical features first for this line edge roughness. So now then you go to this statistic, click it. So you see there are so many statistical features starting from mean, standard error for mean, standard deviation, variance, coefficient of variation, first quartile, median, third quartile, and so on. So now you need to select whatever you want. You select those items from this list. Let me select a few items. I need to have a mean, standard error of mean, standard deviation. You don't require sometimes this error, and I need variance. So first quartile and third quartile, something like if you have data, 100% data. So that in 100 data sets, data set 1 to 25, data set number 25 is called as first quartile, and 26th to 50th is called as second quartile data, and third quartile is 51 to 75, and fourth quartile is 76 to 100 data set number. So I need to find out the mode. Then I need the minimum value of the data, maximum value of the data. If I want to have the range, you can click it. That's it. So let me show you all this. Sometimes you require this skewness and kurtosis are very important to understand the distribution. So let me select all these terms and click OK. And let me go to the graphs. And you need to present this information in terms of graphical representation. So for that, you go to the graphs. So you have options like histogram for the data selected, histogram of data along with normal distribution curve, individual value. For individual value means here you have 5 columns. Individually, you can have a graph in terms of box plot also. Let me select histogram of data along with the normal distribution, general information. Click OK, and finally you click OK. Let me show you the results. Now all the results are going to appear in this session window. This is a session window. It is taking some time. Yes. Are you able to see the session window now with some results? So descriptive statistics for line edge radius. I selected line edge radius as output. So for this line edge radius, line edge roughness, so statistics variables, n is, this first term is a n. N is something like population. You have data sets 20, and mean for the data is 1.336. Standard deviation is 0.494, and variance is 0.244. Square root of variance, you will get the standard deviation. The minimum value for this line edge radius is 0.720, and the maximum value is 2.480. You can verify here, line edge radius. So the minimum value and maximum value, if you see, you will get the same values here, and mode of the data. And other values, you can see the skewness, kurtosis. This skewness, kurtosis are 2 terms which are used to define the quality of the normal distribution. For example, skewness, the normal distribution is biased towards left side or right side. So that information you can understand by using the skewness value. And kurtosis value is required sometimes to understand whether the distribution is having high tail or low tail with respect to normal distribution. So next, if you present the data for this line edge radius in terms of histogram, you can find out the frequency. For example, if you put cursor on this bar, the second peak bar, this is the peak bar. So if I keep my cursor, you can see the value 6. The value 6 means the frequency is 6, and the y-axis you have frequency, and that means you can see there are 6 data points with value 1.0, or you can say like this. So with the range of 0.875 to 1.125 values, you have 6 data sets. The population size is 6. And all the data is following normal distribution curve. You see here, the data is following normal distribution. Normally we expect for any data, it should follow normal distribution. So apart from statistical features and histogram, you can generate some other features. For example, let me go back to the statistic features, basic statistics. Now, so if I want to store the information, you have this information right now in session window, results window. Suppose if I want to extract this data to my worksheet window. So now you select store descriptive statistics. If you store, you are going to see that data in this worksheet window. Let me select again a light radius to click statistics. Let me select only 3 or 4 features, click OK and double click OK. Now you see the values are stored in your worksheet. So your mean, standard error, standard deviation and variance and population. And now how to export this data? Simply you select this statistic table, right click, you can select as a copy or copy as a picture. So let me take it as a copy as a picture. And go to any PowerPoint presentation. So for example, let me paste here itself. So I can present my data like this. I can extract my data to my Word or PPT. So as a JPG format, or you can directly export in another format as well. The next feature with this basic statistics is graphical summary. So instead of having this summary in different ways, like here you have a separate table and separate histogram graph. So now if I want to club these two things, you have graphical summary. Let me click graphical summary for line edge radius. So for the confidence level 95%, I'll explain what is confidence level. So while explaining the problem. So now I can have complete data. You see, summary report for line edge radius. You have all the statistical terms here. So for selected 95% confidence interval. And what else you have with this basic statistics? Suppose if I want to do normality test. So these are the things, very simple one, and you can go through later. And the next important thing is a normality test. So this normality test is very, very important to determine whether the data or your data sets following normal distribution or not. So for that purpose, you need to conduct normality test. In normality test, there are different, again, tests like Anderson-Darling test, joint-run method, Grubbs method. Likewise, you have different normality test methods. So I'm going to explain one normality test using Anderson-Darling test. So for that, we have separated data, and let me conduct normality test for that data. So this is about basic statistics. So now, so let me move on to the next feature, important statistical feature, design of experiment. This is very, very important for researchers, especially whoever wants to have modeling of your process or data. So for that, you need to understand the design of experiments. So now, the application of Minitab starts from this design of experiments. So now, in design of experiments, you have different types. Minitab provides 5 types of DOU tools: screening tool, factorial tool, response surface tool, mixture tool, and Taguchi method. You have 5 different options, DOE options. So most frequently used methods are response surface and Taguchi. Every method is having its own application, own advantage and disadvantage. For example, if you take a screening, it works only with certain number of inputs and certain number of outputs, and it is not possible having large number of inputs and output data. And again, in factorial, you have 2-level factorial, 3-level factorial, 2-level factorial, 3-level factorial, and it is not possible to go with the more than 3-level factorial using this factorial method. And response surface methodology having 2 types of techniques using a central composite design and Box-Behnken method. So then the mixture is a combination of levels. And Taguchi, of course, this Taguchi provides a 2-level, 3-level, 4-level, 5-level, 6-level. And relatively, this Taguchi and response surface methodology will provide more number of experimental source of information, data. So you can conduct in a better way. You can design your data in a better way by taking response surface technique and Taguchi technique. So let me focus on response surface and Taguchi technique. And before moving forward to this Taguchi or response surface methodology, let me explain about the design of experiments. What do you mean by design of experiments? For example, you need to perform experimentation. Let us take a typical example of wire electrical discharge machining. So it is unconventional process, right? So it involves so many input parameters like servo voltage, peak current, then electrode force, dielectric medium, different input parameters. If you list out input parameters put together, it may be around 15 number. So similarly, let us discuss about outputs for this process. You have surface quality, surface roughness, material removal rate, cutting speed, and care feed, and so on. So there are different responses and different number of inputs. Now, how do you plan the experimentation? So now, Taguchi, before conducting experimentation, you need to have design plan. So design of experiments will provide you minimum number of experiments which defines the process performance effectively. For example, if I take a design of experiments for 5 inputs, 1 output. For each input parameter having, let us say, 3 levels, 3 different values for each input. In such cases, you are going to see five parameters, and each one is having 3 levels, 3 power 5. You are going to see 3 to the power of 5 combinations, and 3 to the power of 5 combinations, 3 to 3 power 5 number of experiments conducting is so difficult. It involves time and money. By using design of experiments, you can reduce number of experiments without disturbing the process performance. So for that, you have different methods. That is how we work with the design of experiments. So let me explain first Taguchi, later response surface methodology. So now, how do we do with this Taguchi? So what is the Taguchi technique? So we also call it as Taguchi technique as orthogonal array technique. So in Taguchi method, you require orthogonal array. So for your experimentation, having 5 inputs, 1 output. Each input, each control factor, input is called as a control factor or independent variable. Let us say each independent variable is having 3 levels. So for example, current. So current value for one independent variable is a current, peak current. And peak current value is, let us say, 10, 20, 30. 10, 20, 30. You have 3 levels. Similarly for voltage, servo voltage, let us say inputs as 5 volts, 10 volts, 15 volts. Likewise, every independent parameter is having 3 levels. Now, Taguchi method will provide you the best possible combinations. As I mentioned, if you select 5 input parameters, 3 levels for each input parameter, we are going to have 3 to the power of 5 combinations. More than 100 experiments. It is not possible to conduct such expensive experimental trials. So for that, if you use Taguchi technique, it will minimize the number of experiments without affecting the process performance. So it works on the principle of signals to noise ratio. So Taguchi technique works on the principle of signals to noise ratio. So if signals to noise ratio value is high, that indicates the performance is good, or the selected output is good. So what do you mean by the signal? What is mean by the noise? For example, you take any manufacturing process, and the signal is something like control factors. You can control, manufacturer can control. And noise factors are uncontrollable factors, not possible to control. If you want to control, it requires some amount of money and time. It involves money and time. Now you need to identify nice factors. For example, in a process, you have three inputs. Let us say here in this machining process, WDM process. So we have five inputs like a peak current, voltage, wire feed, weight, force, tension, dielectric medium. Likewise, let us have a five inputs. These five inputs called as the signals, control factors. You can control all these values. It is depending on your selection. And what about the noise factors? Uncontrollable factors like environmental conditions, relative humidity, temperature. So these external factors is very difficult to control. Now this Taguchi works on signals to noise ratio, and always you have to ensure that S by N, signal is S and noise is N. So you need to find out this S by N value, and which should be very high for desirable performance. So Taguchi technique works on this S by N ratios for the means and S by N ratios for the variance. And you know what is mean, what is variance, just now I explained different statistical features. So let me explain this Taguchi classical example. In 1950s, in Japan, there is one manufacturing company called as Aino Tiles Manufacturing Company. So in Aino Tiles Manufacturing Company, they are manufacturing large number of tiles which are outside of their desired design tolerance values. So all the tiles are getting different dimensions, moving out of specified dimensions. Then the quality inspection team observed this change, and they concluded that this happened just because of some noise in the process. What is that noise? So the noise is something like temperature variation, and tiles, to fabricate the tiles, you need to have a thermal insulated oven. So in the thermal insulated oven, there is uneven temperature distribution. Because of uneven temperature distribution, you are going to see the output, the dimensions. So the dimensions you are getting differently. You are not getting as per your desired dimensions and tolerances, deviating for the output. So they observed the culprit, they observed the noise factor as temperature distribution, and they thought that this can be controlled, but temperature distribution can be controlled by constructing a new oven, which involves a lot of money and time. Then they decided that instead of constructing new oven, they started doing experimentation on controlling the control factor. They have different control factors. For example, you require a clay. So in clay, there is a lime content. So they changed the clay lime content percentage. They increased, decreased, they optimized. At one point of time, as the clay lime's content increases, then they have seen the results, and the tiles dimensions are not deviating, and they are getting the tiles within the specified zone only. Then they decided that noise factor is a temperature variation, and they thought it is not possible to control temperature distribution, uneven temperature distribution in the oven. Then they decided to work on the control factor, which can be controlled by manufacturer itself. Okay, so you understand what is control factor and what is noise factor. So always the ratio signals to noise, S by N, should be high. So now Taguchi technique works on this principle. So let me explain a research problem. So I've taken one problem from Elsewhere publication. So the same data I'll explain, and I'll show you how exactly they were done using Taguchi technique, and they were done analysis of variance. They have done all the statistical analysis. So let me take one real-time example instead of having unknown data. So let me go back to my PPT presentation. So there is one data. So let me explain this research problem. So this is problem number one. So data sources are taken from Measurement Journal. It's a very top quality journal. So for this process, so authors did experimentation on ASI 4340 steel using multi-layer coated tools. So they determined tool wear, cutting force, machining power, surface roughness. Let me take only tool wear data. So they have three inputs, three independent variables. Let me talk about statistical terms. They have three independent variables: cutting speed, feed, depth of cut. And one dependent variable is tool wear, flank tool wear. That is the response. So for this data, let me trial with a Taguchi experiment. So first in Taguchi method, I should understand design of experiment methods. So in design of experiments, the first step is selection of variables, independent variables. So in the process, in the measuring process, this is a measuring process. In this measuring process, I should understand how many independent variables required. For that, you need to have product process knowledge. That is the prime choice. So once you know number of variables, number of independent variables, then you start assigning the values. So for example, for each independent variable, cutting speed, let us say VC is the cutting speed. So here I'm having three levels. One is 140 speed, second one is a 200 meter per minute, and the final one is 260 meter per minute. So I decided 140, 200, 260 to match best industrial practice conditions. I selected these three as my levels. And again, selection is number of levels is again depending on the type of method, DOE method you are selecting. And the next one is a feed. So likewise, depth of cut you need to select. So let me give input this to the Minitab. So let me go back to the Minitab now. So now the next option is in this worksheet window. So far I worked with this worksheet number 1. Let me open new worksheet. For that, just you click here, plus symbol is there. Please see my cursor. If you click this plus symbol, you are going to see the worksheet number 2. So let me work on this worksheet 2. And you see slowly left side in the navigator, you have descriptive statistics we worked earlier and a summary report and so on. Different parameters, whatever you have, those things will be listed here. And if you want to go back just by clicking this one or navigating this, you can go to the previous results. Now, let me take the data. So before doing Taguchi method, already you decided input variables, dependent variable, and levels. So now let me go to the statistics. DOE, in design of experiments, out of 5 methods, let me select Taguchi. So first option is you need to create Taguchi design. So let me create a Taguchi design. So if you select the Taguchi design, in this window, you can see various options. Type of design. You need to select the type of design. Taguchi method provides you different orthogonal arrays. The best possible orthogonal array you need to select, which gives you minimum number of experiments. So you have 2-level design, 3-level design, 4-level design, 5-level design, and mixed designs. And then number of factors. For example, as I mentioned, the example which we considered just now, it has got 3 levels. So let me select 3 levels. Levels means, for example, cutting speed. You have 100, 200, 300, 3 values, 3 levels. And how many factors are there? Number of factors, control factors. I'm having cutting speed, feed, depth of cut, 3 factors. So now, how many possibilities you are going to expect? 3 to the power of 3. So that is 27 possibilities you can find out. So now you need to decide whether you want to go with 27 experiments or less than that. So for that, you have to see the available designs as per the Taguchi. So if I click the available designs, so you see there is a chart as per the Taguchi under 2-level, 3-level, 4-level, 5-level. You have different runs. If you see this column, designs, you have L4 orthogonal array, L8 orthogonal array, L9 orthogonal array, and so on. So which array suits to the data we selected? So we selected 3 levels, 3 factors. So from this, so what are the possibilities for us? Let me check. So under 3-level, this 3-level, so the first possibility is to 13, that is L27 orthogonal array. That means you require to conduct 27 experiments. In this array, you can go up to 13 levels. Sorry, 13 values. Now, the second one is you can also go for L9 array, in which you require 9 experiments. If I conduct 27 experiments, that means I'm going to have full factorial. The full combination, 3 power 3 is 27. The maximum combination I'm going to select. Suppose if 27 experiments involves a lot of time and money, you can reduce number of experiments by selecting some other suitable orthogonal array. So you can also select. So now you can select L9 orthogonal array, from which you are going to conduct only 9 experiments without disturbing the performance. So here, as an example, let me select full factorial L27. So this combination, let me select. And what are the designs? Now, as I mentioned, there are two options, L9, L27. So now you have to decide whether you want to go with the number of experiments as a 9 or 27. Let me select 27 experiments. So after selecting L27, 3 power 3, 3 factors, each factor is having 3 levels, 3 power 3. 27 means 27 runs, 27 experiments. So then you click OK. Then you go to the factors. Let me explain what is factors. So far you have selected only 3 factors: speed, feed, depth of cut. For example, you want to see the interactions between these factors: speed versus feed, feed versus depth of cut, or speed versus depth of cut. To have the interaction effect, to allow interaction effect in this Taguchi, you can allow this interaction effect. It is not required. It is all depending on the process. Suppose the main control factors, speed, feed, depth of cut, will give you the performance, without affecting. You need not consider the interaction effects. Suppose if interaction is also disturbing that performance, you have to see whether interaction is affecting the process performance. For that, let us take the interactions as well. So now go to interactions here. So what are the interaction between A and B? So here A is what? A is a speed, B is feed. So here I didn't mention the headings. So let me go back to that worksheet 2. Yeah. So this I didn't mention A as cutting speed, B as feed, C as depth of cut. So let me move these interactions to selected terms. If you click like this, you can move it. Then click OK. And here you have 2 options. One is directly you can input your data to this worksheet window. So whatever the data is shown in Excel spreadsheet, that data you can copy and paste here in worksheet number 2, or else let me type the data directly here itself. So now cutting speed, I'm having 3 values. So 160 speed, 200 speed, and, so here, sorry, 140, 200, 260. So 140 speed, second, 200, and 260. So while inputting the data in this window, you see that there must be a space between 2 values, 140 and 200. There is a space. You see here, there is a space. So you need to provide the space. And next, the B term is feed. So what is the feed value? The range here, feed is 0.1, 0.18, 0.26, 0.1, 0.18, and 0.26. And the final term C is depth of cut. So here depth of cut values, sorry, let me close this one. So now the depth of cut is 0.6.81, 0.6, 0.8, and 1. So you have given all the levels, all the factors. If you want to define this A as cutting speed, you can type it like this, cutting speed. And type, let me have as it is. Then click OK. Go to the options now. So if you want to store the data in worksheet, you have to select store. By default, you need to store. Click OK. You see here. Now, what is the advantage of the Taguchi here? So Taguchi has suggested you are going to have 27 experiments. You see the 27 rows are there. You have 27 experiments for the selected combination. You need to perform tests number 1 by taking speed as 140, feed as 0.1, depth of cut as 0.6. This is the designed experiment. This is the plan. So having this plan, let me conduct the machining test. Now you need to go to the machine tools tab. You need to conduct the experimentation for these combinations. So after conducting all 27 experiments, you measure the tool wear. Let us say tool wear value is a VB. Let us write it as a VB, tool wear value. So after getting the experimental values, you input those values to this worksheet window. So let me supply this VB values now. So here already VB experimental values, or let me explain Taguchi from the beginning again. So let me go to the Taguchi technique. First you need to select. So let me work on the new worksheet first. So I have selected worksheet number 4. So let me go to the Taguchi, and I need to create Taguchi, and I explained this level selection, right?
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Let me select 3 levels and 3 factors, display available designs. So let me select directly L27. So design option is L27 orthogonal array. Let me select, and factors, if you want to allow interactions, go to interactions, you select all these interactions, and you can enter the data. So now directly let me enter the data. So already I explained the data how to enter here. Let me select the data directly. Like A, B, C, and VB. So start design of experiments, Taguchi. Now analyze Taguchi. Okay, so I made a mistake here. So I need to select the worksheet actually, right? Factors. So I need to define first A, B, C. And the response is VB, graphs as it is, analysis, terms. Let me select all the interactions, options, storage, you want to have signals and means values. Yes. So up to this I explained, right? Now, so let me, so here from this Taguchi, you can understand that which control factor is influencing the output significantly. And in a qualitative way, you can say that the control factor A is influencing a lot when you compare with other 2 factors. The steeper the curve is, it has got highest influence. So this is how you can find out the qualitative information and its effect on the output. Now, to know the exact percentage of contribution it is influencing the output, for that I need to do analysis of variance. Now let me do analysis of variance. So go to the statistics, select ANOVA, analysis of variance, and in this there are different options. Let me select balanced ANOVA. So for balanced ANOVA, I need to select signals to noise ratio because I calculated signals to noise ratio, and Taguchi works on this one. So let me select only signals to noise ratio. Even you can select VB and you can check it ANOVA, how exactly you are getting different ANOVA from signals to noise ratio ANOVA. So after giving all the control factors here, ABC and interactions, go to options, graphs. So let me select 4-in-1 graph. Storage, if you want to store fits residuals, and you can select it. Yes. Okay, So here a source, you have different control factors and interactions. And the second column is a degree of freedom. So degree of freedom, you can calculate using Taguchi equation, the total number of levels minus 1. So now for A, control factor A, you have 3 levels. 3 levels minus 1 is 2. Degree of freedom for A is 2. Similarly for B and C, having 3 levels, its degree of freedom is 2 and 2. And coming to the interactions A and B, its degree of freedom is something like a multiplication. 2 into 2 is 4. I know what is the total degree of freedom for this entire process. So you have total 27 experiments, and number of experiments minus 1 gives you the system degree of freedom. 27 minus 1 is 26. So this 26 is the degree of freedom. Now having degree of freedom for each level, each factor along with the interaction, you need to understand what is the degree of freedom for error degree of freedom. So 26 minus the sum of ABC, AB, BC, AC gives you the 8. So 8 is the error now. Similarly, the next column is the sum of squares. So mean squares, if you average it, if you sum it, you will get the sum of squares. And the next one is a variance. You know how to calculate the variance. And the next, this F test value and P values. This P value I will explain clearly in Anderson-Darling test, normality test. And normally this value should be less than the alpha value. Alpha value is like a confidence interval. We have selected 95% confidence interval. So for 95% confidence interval, alpha value is 5 by 100, 0.05. So now the value which you obtained is less than that value. That means the ANOVA which you calculated is adequate. So you can give that kind of conclusion now. Now coming to here, the R square value, and of course we are going to find out the correlation coefficient exclusively doing regression value. And coming to these different plots you have drawn here, I have selected all-in-one plots. You can see residual versus percent for normal probability plot, and again residual versus fixed frequency versus residual, that is histogram, residual versus observation order for 27 data sets. So what is the inference from this graph? So that is the point you need to understand now. So first of all, in Taguchi, in statistical analysis, there are certain assumptions. We need to assume that the data should follow the normal distribution. So our data is normal distribution. We assume that. Now let us check whether our data is following normal distribution or not. And by seeing this first graph, percent versus normal, percent versus residual in normal probability plot. So this data follows normal distribution. That means the model is adequate, correct? And again, if you see here, the residual versus frequency follows normal distribution. This follows normal distribution. And coming to here, this residual versus fitted value. There is no correlation between these fitted values. There is no autocorrelation. That is also an assumption. And here in the last graph, every data set is having its own residual. So what is the residual here? Residual is something like the difference between observed value and the fitted value. So the difference is residual. Now every data set, every experiment is having its own residual. So you need to have different residuals for different data sets. That is an assumption. Now all the assumptions are matching, and from this you can conclude that the model which you performed is adequate and satisfactory. So you can export this information by clicking right click and selecting copy. So now next thing is from this table here. So I need to understand qualitatively, quantitatively, the percentage of influence of this factor A on the output. Output is toolware. Now I want to understand the influence of factor A on the output toolware. From previous Taguchi analysis, means of means plots, you understood that A is having highest influence, but you don't know the value of its influence. So now that you can calculate using ANOVA. So now here, if you see sum of squares for A 372, having highest sum of square means it influences a lot. So 372.334 by 491.309. Total sum of squares is 491. If you divide this 372.334 with a 491.309, you are going to see approximately 75%. You check it, 372.334 by, let me do it, 372.33. Okay, so it is taking time. Now 372.334 divided by 491.309. So it gives you weightage is 75%. Right. Now, the control factor A is influencing 75%. The maximum weightage in the output is control factor A. That means it is significantly influencing. So followed by feed, then depth of cut. And from this, you can conclude that there is no significant effect for interactions on the output. See, only 2.793 by 491, it is something like 0.02 or 3. So there is no effect of interactions. You can ignore the interactions. You need not consider the interactions. So that is how we conclude this influence of factors on the output using ANOVA table. And so this already explained, and let me go back to the next topic. In design of experiments, let me explain response surface methodology now. So let me create response surface methodology. For that, I need to define custom response surface design. So now here, continuous factors, you can select what are the factors you want to have, A, B, C, and its values. Low, high, and you can check it whether you got exactly low and high values as you typed in the worksheet window. Yes, 140, 260 for control factor, and B 0.1, 0.26, and 0.6 and 1.0. You can select uncoded and you can check with coded also. So uncoded, coded difference is in the worksheet window. You can see the difference. Coded means in terms of 1, 1, 1 or 1, 2, 3 like that. So uncoded means with exact values. That's what I said, uncoded. And designs, so by default you can select, you need not change anything, and click OK. So now let me go back to DOE, response surface design. Now let me analyze the response surface. I already created, now let me analyze. So let me select the output as the VB. So now go to the terms. Yes, I selected all the terms, you see, and I selected full quadratic equation. Yes. So faculty, please try to understand the process, data distribution, and you have the normal distribution. So if you have the distribution is in linear, that means the relationship between the input and output is in a linear way, you select a linear. And if follows quadratic, generally we select full quadratic. So the having quadratic relationship between the input output, you select full quadratic analysis. So now you can see all the terms. If you don't want some terms, you can ignore these terms. For example, you don't want this AC, you can ignore, or you can select. Let me select all the interactions, all the terms and all the interactions. Next, options. In options, right, 95% in weights. Weights are not required. You don't know the weight, and you can select confidence level for all intervals. 95%. So what do you mean by the 95% of the confidence level? Please let me know. Am I in the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Right. So confidence level for our analysis is 95%. What do you mean by 95%? Let me give you an example like a bearing. So what is the mean life of the bearing? Let us assume the mean life of the bearing as 5,000 to 6,000 hours. The mean life of the bearing is 5,000 to 6,000 hours. So what do you mean by 95% of confidence interval? 95% of the time, the mean life follows in the range of 5,000 to 6,000 hours. It satisfies the life in the range of 5,000 to 6,000 hours almost 95% of the time. So that is what the meaning of 95% confidence interval. If you select high and high confidence interval, you are going to have precise results. Reliability is very, very high. So generally by default, we are going to select 95%. Now this is two-sided and one here different side, lower bound, upper bound. It is depending on again analysis. Let me select by default two-sided, and here the information whatever you have you select by default, and later we can select the different values and you can observe the changes in the response surface methodology equation. So now let me select stepwise. So here this one is not required. And graphs, yes, here this one is required. What kind of graph you require? So individually, if you want, you select individual graphs. And for us, let me know all graphs 4-in-1. And if you want to display a Pareto chart, you can select this Pareto. And coming to the results. So results, again, tables, you want to have all the information in terms of tables, you select each and every one. And storage. So suppose storage means you want to store the information in a worksheet window, you need to select. I don't want to store any information in my worksheet window. That's what I'm not selecting here. So now click OK. Now you see here. So I can find out equation. You see, this is the equation. This is the regression equation. So from this response surface methodology, I can predict my values. So initially you got your experimental values. These are the experimental values. You please see the cursor under column number 4, C4. You have experimental values for the toolware starting from 0.047, 0.056 to 27 data sets. Now I want to predict all these values using this model, response surface model. So for that, you need to have data analysis. For the data analysis from response surface method, I got a regression equation. This is a regression equation. Let me select this equation. And now let me start predicting the values. So my toolware, predicted toolware follows this equation, quadratic equation. So here 0.28 minus 0.001717 into A. A is cutting speed value. And 1.591 into B feed value. Likewise, you need to enter all the values. For example, here the row 1, you see the row 1. Row 1 is speed 140, B 0.10, C depth of cut 0.6. If I enter A value, B value, C value in this equation, I can find out prediction for the first value. Let me show you my predictions. If I have my predictions, yes. Yeah, the same equation I have written here, just for your purpose, I written here. The same equation I have taken from RSM. I have written here the same equation. This is the equation. And let me enter the values, A, B, C values. I'll show you the first value, A, B, C. So first data is 140.1.6. So here I calculated some values. .140, 0.1 and 0.6. So my prediction is 0.05. You see, my prediction is 0.05, 0.8, 0.2. Likewise, you predict the toolware for all 27 experiments. And if I write my predictions, you see it. The first one is 0.05, 0.8. So likewise, I predict all 27 values. So I can do some post analysis of exactly the model fits the data. I need to understand the correlation between these two values, experimental value and predictor value. For that, I need to do a regression analysis. So let me go back to the regression again. So this is how we do ANOVA and response surface methodology. And let me go to regression. You see a regression option is there. So in regression, you select fitted line plot. You have different options, and always the response, the predictor value is on the y-axis, and the known value, the experimental value is on the x-axis. That is known to us. And depending on the relation, you can select it is a linear, quadratic, or cubic. Let me select a cubic, and the response value y is the predictor value is, you see here in the list. A, B, C, B, B. I don't have my predictor values because I didn't enter my predictor values in the worksheet window. You see clearly here, my predictions values are not appeared in this window. I need to enter those values in my worksheet window. So let me go back to this worksheet and let me enter my predictions. So in a separate column, so in a C11, let me write VB, this VB from RSM. Whatever we have VB values from RSM, let me take this information, the worksheet window of the mini tab. So I got all 27. Yes, I got all 27 values now. Yes, so let me go to the statics, regression, fit line plot. Yes. Now response Y. So Y is my prediction. VB RSM. You see the C11. You have entered your predictions in column number 11. You select this value on Y-axis, and on the X-axis, let me select my experimental values. So here experimental values are simply a VB. This is the experimental values. So what kind of correlation you want to have for your analysis? So initially we selected quadratic. Let me select quadratic. So graphs. So right. So here again you have different graphs. Let me select 4-in-1 graph again, and options. Yes, here you need to select your confidence level, 95% or 99% or 90%. So by default, it is 95%. Let me select confidence level as 95%. Storage. You want to store your values in the worksheet, you can select. For example, I want to store my residuals in the worksheet. Let me click OK. So now you see my correlation coefficient is R square value and adjacent R square value. So we select R square value, or you can mention adjacent R square value also. So this R square value is 98.07. That means the correlation is very, very strong. The strength of the relationship between you can define using this R square value. Correlation coefficient is very, very high. So the value which is close to 1 means you have 100% correlation. So 98.07 by 100 is 0.98, which is close to 1. So now you can see the relation here from this graph. So this is the graph you require for your conclusion now. See here. So here, this is the regression line. The red color one is the regression line. And the remaining points are data points. You have 27 data sets. You can find out all the data points. So we have done this. On the y-axis, VB response surface methodology predictions. On the x-axis, VB experimental values. Next, if you see some information which we have beside this correlation graph, S equal to 0.0089624. So what do you mean by this S value? S is something like a dispersion, the average distance between each and every individual data point to the regression line. For example, if you see here, this is a data point, row number 24. You can see here symbol row number 24. Its a VB value is 0.2. And its RSM value, experimental value is 0.2. And the next value is prediction value is 0.1984. So you see the difference. So the average difference, if you do it average, you are going to see this S as its average dispersion. And its R square value is 98.1%. So this is how we do regression for the data. So then the next one is, so let me move on to the next one quickly because I need to cover many more topics. So, I completed regression, then ANOVA, design of experiments. I covered Taguchi and response surface methodology. Then let me do a normality test. This is very, very important. So whatever you've done so far, you need to check whether the data is correct and the data is following normal distribution or not. I need to do some normality test. So there are different techniques. So one way of doing normality test, go back to the statistics and basic statistics, you have option here, normality test. Statistics, basic statistics, and the last one is normality test. So this normality test, if you select, So for which variable you want to select. So our output is VB results, and next, what kind of normality you want to do. So there are three different techniques. One is Anderson-Darling, second one is a Rand-Joyner technique, and third one is Kolmogorov-Smirnov normality test. Among these three normality tests, most commonly used technique is Anderson-Darling test. So using this Anderson-Darling test, you can find out the normality of the data. So this is one way of doing normality test using statistics and basic statistics and normality test, selecting Anderson-Darling test. The second option is you can do normality test using graphics options. Let me explain now graphics options. So far we covered statistical options. Of course, you have some more options, reliability and survival. So for that, you need to have different data, and for that you have to do reliability analysis. So in our case, we have taken example of machining problem. For that, we are doing only analysis for the output, and we don't have any reliability. So the next one in graphics options, if you select probability plot. So using probability plot also I can do Anderson-Darling test. So by default, if I select this probability test, you have two options. If you have one response, you can select like this. If you have multiple responses, you can select the two. As I'm having only one response, let me select single. Okay. So now what is the variable? For which variable you want to have this analysis? Anderson-Darling test analysis. So let me select VB toolware. So now distribution is normal. You have different options, log normal, gamma. Generally we select normal. It is an assumption. So you have different options. You can click it and you can explore. So scale. So in the graph, you can have grid points on the x-axis and y-axis by selecting. Let me have only default values. Labels, you can write your labels how you want to appear the graph. You can mention your labels. And multiple graphs also you can select. Data options. Data options specify which rows to include. So by default, let us select. Yeah, you see here. So now the inference is very, very important. So using Minitab, you can do data analysis. That is one way of analyzing the data. The second one is you need to conclude the data. You need to interpret the results. Now from this analysis, what do you understand now? Let me move this. Okay. Right. So now on the x-axis, you have VB values, the range as per the data you entered. Y-axis, you are having a probability percentage, 0 to 99% probability. You have selected this analysis for 95% confidence level. And from this probability plot, you can conclude that the data follows normal distribution, and which is very, very close to the regression line. In between, you have a fitted line. So in between these two curves, center line is a straight line, and this data follows the straight line. It follows the straight line very closely. So it follows the normal distribution. That means the model is adequate, correct? You establish the right relationship between the input and output. So for this, you have the mean standard deviation, population is 27, and there is a term AD. So this is an Anderson-Darling goodness of fit, 0.62. In the data dispersion, the AD value 0.622 is the difference of area between data points and the fitted line. That is given by AD value. Now, the last term is a p-value. This is very, very important, p-value. Now, how do you conclude this data analysis using normality test, Anderson-Darling test is correct or not? So far, we have done analysis. That analysis is correct or not, adequate or not. You have developed the relationship between input and output strongly or not. So the strength can be defined using this p-value. If this p-value, obtained p-value, is greater than the selected confidence level of interval, 95%. So 95% confidence interval, its alpha value is 100 minus 95 by 100. So 5 by 100 is 0.05. Now the p-value you obtain from this Anderson-Darling test is more than your alpha value. So as per normality test, the obtained p-value, if it is above the assumed your confidence interval, the model is correct, the model is adequate. So you cannot reject this null hypothesis. So this is how we do normality test. And in normality test, your other two techniques also, let me show you quickly. Suppose you want to do this normality test using other technique. So Rann and Joyner technique, VB. Let me select Rann and Joyner technique. You see here, there is no much difference, and here also the p-value is greater than 0.05. So here also the data follows the normal distribution close to the regression line with different values, and here the RJ is again the same. The difference between the areas of filtered line and data points is 0.963. So from this p-value, you can say that the model is again adequate. So likewise, you have different normality test. The most commonly used normality test is Anderson-Darling test. So this is all about statistical features, and let me explain quickly about graphic features in 5 minutes. After that, I'll close for interaction. So please allow me 5 more minutes. So in graphics now, so this is anyway, most of the items, most of the key functions, you know very well, and we have used already Excel sheet, but only advanced tool, let me explain. So suppose you want to have a 3D surface plot. This is most commonly used graphical relationship between the input and output data. So to present information effectively, scientifically in research papers, we use surface plots and contour plots. Let me show you the surface plot once. So here you have two options, surface and wireframe. Generally we select wireframe. It is type of graph you want. So let me select Z variable on the, so it is 3-dimensional plot. On Z variable, let me take as always output. And what is my Y variable? So, and you have interactions like, so A, B. So let me select the most influencing control factors. So the most influencing control factor is A. So let me select this A value on the x-axis. And the second highest influencing factor is a B on the y-axis. You can select reverse also, no problem. If you want to have A value on the x-axis, you select like this. So surface options. So here distance method, and there is Akim's polynomial method. So depending on the, for example, the surface plot, you want to have a smooth lines. So this method provides you the smooth lines for the graph. So let me select this Akim's polynomial method. Both are same. Both you will, from both you will get the same surface plot, but the surface smoothness is more in case of this method. And custom. So let me select the custom because I want to have mesh number size. Let me select 20. The grid numbers on the graph 20. So just you can select some number, and you see the difference if you select low number and high number. So scale, you can have the graph options. So again, labels, you can have your own labels. And data view, surface and symbols. Let me select by default symbols, and data options. So by default, let me select, and you can see the surface plot. So this is how we draw the surface plot. Right. So now from this surface plot, you can explain, you can have this kind of surface plot for all the interactions. Here, the surface plot gives you the relationship between the VB toolware and the other two control factors, A on x-axis, B on y-axis. You see here from this, you can understand like this. So if the value of A increases, cutting speed increases, the value of VB also increases significantly. Also, if you increase this value, B value, feed value, VB also increases. So likewise, you can do post analysis by showing these graphs. So now coming to the contour plots. So again, let me select a Z variable as a VB and a Y variable as a B, X variable as A. And you have different options if you select, and I'm not going inside. Let me select by default and you click it. So this kind of contour plot, you are going to have A on the x-axis, B on y-axis, and a 3D, 3-dimensional. This color is about a VB. So from this, you can do a post analysis, and your Minitab help. Let me explain now with the help of Minitab assistant. I'll take only 2 more minutes. Please allow me. So this is very important. Now, whatever I've done, the same thing I can do using this assistant. And if you use an old version of your Minitab, this option is not there. You have a help option. So using that help, you can do it. But here the assistant tool gives you complete knowledge. And for beginners, especially beginners, without having any knowledge, by selecting assistant or help tool, you can perform whatever I've done so far. You can do it. So you see DOE, select DOE and plan and create. You are going to say information you see. Yes. So you got a beautiful relationship between all the steps: plan, experimentation, process, objective, screen with 16 to 15 factors, optimize with the 2 to 5 factors, plan, create screening design, create modeling design. Let me select this create modeling design. So you can have like this response and number of factors. So you can enter your response value and you can have number of factors as a 3. So the moment when you select number of factors as 3, you got 3, and you can name it as a cutting speed again, speed, and it is a continuous, and a low value you can define, high value you can define from your values. And number of replicates, this number of replicates means how many times you want to repeat the same experiments, duplication. So for example, you are having 27 experiments. I want to have number of replicates as 2, means 27 into 2, 54 times you are going to do. Total number of experiments becomes 54. Each experiment you are performing 2 times. So likewise, you can select, and if you enter the data correctly, you can move to the next step. So this will help you to understand the complete Minitab tool. And the last one is this predictive analytics module, and this module is not available and it's paid module. You can have a machine learning approach integrated to the Minitab tool. So that is how Minitab works. So now let me do a scatter plot. You have a scatter plot even in Excel sheet also. You can use a scatter plot, means a relationship between again X and Y variable, 2 variables. On X-axis you can have 1 and Y-axis you can have output. Likewise, you can do the scatter plot. And next one is bin scatter plot. Just you do the graph and see the differences. And you don't require all the graphs. You require only scatter plot, and sometimes you require histogram, and to understand the frequency of your data. So you have to draw the histogram. And the next one is probability plot. Just now I mentioned the probability plot. You can use the probability plot, and probability distribution also you can draw using this one, and individual plots, individual value plots also you can do it. And next parallel coordinates plots you can do it. Pie chart also you can draw. And area graph, time series plot. So these are the options you have with Minitab graphics. And coming to the in statistics, let me go back to the DOE and factorial. So this one I have not shown to you. So as you have some more time with us, let me show you the factorial. Sometimes we use a factorial design also, and if you see some of the research papers, you can find out full factorial designs and fractional factorial designs. So you can create factorial design. Again, in factorial design, you have certain limitations. You see here, you can have only 2-level factorial default generators. And for example, you want to have 3 levels, not possible. Using this one, this factorial design, if you have 3 levels, you cannot use. For only 2 levels, and number of factors you can have 3. So for example, here in previous example, what I shown, having 3 levels and 3 factors: speed, feed, depth of cut, 3 levels. Here you can select only 2 factors: speed and feed, or speed and depth of cut. So it has got restricted application. So then again, display designs. This one is similar to if anybody is using a design of experiment software. So in design of experiment software, DOE software exclusively works on this kind of analysis, and you can select. So again, 3, so whatever you want, designs, options, half fraction, full factorial. Generally, we select full factorial with the given combinations. With given combinations given, there are going to be total 8 runs, but I don't want to conduct 8 experiments. I want to conduct less number of experiments. Then you select off fraction. So some of the options you have with the partial fractions also, you can customize yourself. So again, number of center points. So in a CCD technique, you have a box, a cube, center points you can define, number of replicants you can define, and number of by default. So let me have the same thing. Factors you can define, again name, you can give name, and low value -1, coded values here. So in previous case, we have uncoded values. In uncoded values, you can have your exact values, speed 140 and feed 0.1 likewise. But here in coded, you have -1, 0, 1. So if you have suppose the 3 levels, you are going to have low, middle, and high, -1, 0, 1. So you select all these values and coming to the options, and you select by default results. So of course, I don't have any data, I may not get the information correctly. So here you see the complete coded values. So before that, I need to have the data correctly. I need to enter the data in the sheet. So next, going to DOE and mixture. So this is a mixture, create mixture design. Suppose, so you have 2 to 10 components and simplex lattice and extreme vertices. So you can select a simplex centroid method, and number of components like a factors, you can select a 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me select 3 and available designs. And by default, you take 1 and you see that. So of course, I need to specify the designs. Number of replicates 1, and you see number of replicates 2. So now you are going to have 2 times. Each experiment you are going to perform 2 times. So this is how statistic features works with Minitab. So thank you. And let me show practice question. You please take it and you solve it. Just I will show you the practice question for you. This question you can take the screenshot and you practice. If you have any doubts, you can ask me later. This is the data for you. So you practice. This measuring power. The last one is measuring power. So just have a screenshot and you can do it later. Thank you.
Sir, Mr. Subbareddy has asked, some of the surface plots are coming in zigzag manner. Can we get smooth 3D surface curves with Minitab?
Yeah, it is possible. It is all depending on the data. If you have your data which follows normal distribution correctly, you can have a smooth. So still you can enhance your smoothness of the curve by selecting Kumar's polynomial method. So that is related to the data. That means the prediction is irregular. So for example, you see the relationship between input and output, cutting speed and output is told where. If you have the linear relationship between the cutting speed and output, you are going to have the smooth curve. And if you have the irregular relationship, which is unpredictable, you are going to have zigzag kind of graph.
Sir, actually zigzag curves we are getting. Is it possible to have contour 3D surface graphs, like almost endpoints of
yes,
the zigzag
curves? Yes, sir. But you try to general, to present our data effectively, we need to use 3D plots, and the surface plots is 3D contour plots. Again, it is very difficult to understand by seeing the color. So when you have the zigzag, when you have the data which is irregular, and when you are expecting a zigzag kind of curve, let us go with only 3D surface plots, and making inferences from the contour plots is very difficult.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, the next question is from Mr. Rajesh Prabhu. Like, can we fit many distributions to the same data and get rank which one is the best fitting curve?
Yes.
Fitting distribution.
Yeah, Mr. Rajesh, yes, your question is a valid question, and you mentioned so far we have done with the normal distribution. For example, I want to do a reliability survival analysis. So, for example, a battery life. I want to do a battery life analysis or bearing life analysis. For that, I need to understand the bearing life, and I need to know the reliability. And the reliability is follows the Weibull distribution. You know, very well we studied Weibull distribution, that reliability follows the Weibull distribution. In such cases, I need to select.
So next question is from Mafidur Rahman. Which normality test is accurate amongst the three? It is.
Still, you can select your own distribution. So
that is which normality test is accurate?
We have three normality depending on again. First one is Anderson-Darling test. The second one is a Rann and Joyner, and third one is Smirnov normality test. So the second one is Rann and Joyner, and of course, if you see the history of this Minitab, so the Minitab launched in 1950s. You know, so almost 50 years ago, this Minitab tool was launched. This tool was launched by mathematicians, statisticians like Rann and Joyner. These are the two mathematicians. Rann is one person and Joyner is another person. These two persons developed this tool for Six Sigma applications. Now, both of them defined a normality test. So that is called as a Rann and Joyner test. And compared to the Anderson-Darling test, it is not so effective. So normally we use Anderson-Darling test. If you see any in academic research, you can find out only Anderson-Darling test. In few applications, you can use a Rann and Joyner test. Of course, if you use Six Sigma projects, you can have clear-cut comparison between different normality tests. Otherwise, we use Anderson-Darling test only. Any other questions?
Sir, one more. Sir, is it generally we conduct confirmatory test at the end of the analysis? Sir?
Yes.
With the help of equation, can we predict? We can predict even for combination, optimal combination also.
Yes.
Is it necessary to conduct a confirmatory test?
Confirmation test is something like, you see, so far you have seen data. Let me tell you, seen data, unseen data. So we have 27 data sets. Whatever the example I given to you, it has got 27 data sets. All 27 data sets are called as a seen data. The data is available to you. And whatever the data you are going to submit to your regression equation, definitely it presents correct predictions. But how do you confirm? Because whatever the data you're given to the analysis, and it has given a wonderful equation. From that equation, you can predict. But I need to confirm whether this equation works with unseen data. So you have cutting speed, something like a 140, 200, 260. These are the three values. For these three values, you predict the equation. Suppose my cutting speed is not 140, not 200, not 260. I want to do confirmation with 190 cutting speed. 190 meters per minute, and again I'll select a different feed. So, but I need to follow the range. That RSM equation is valid for the range 140 speed to 260 meter per minute. And to do confirmation, I need to select any value in this range only. That is unseen value, unknown value, new value. So for that value, that equation is valid. And again, suppose if you want to select cutting speed as 100 meter per minute, definitely that equation doesn't work. So confirmation tests are mandatory. So you always see, having this RSM equation, you have predicted some 27 values and you got a good correlation, 98%. That is good for your data, your seen data. What about unseen data? So for unseen data, you take again 3 new experiments, 3 new data sets, and you go to the machining test, you conduct again 3 experiments. You try to have your experimental values of VB, and those values, VB values, are called as experimental values, and you submit those 3 conditions in RSM equation. You predict the value, and you compare the relationship between the predicted and experimental value. And the correlation you should get the correlation equal to 98%. Then only you can confirm the model developed is adequate, correct. So that is how we do confirmation tests, and confirmation tests are mandatory. You have to do it.
The error, what is the expected error, sir? Error can be 2%.
Yes, error actually is here. Error, we are not talking about the error, and error. So in terms of, let me talk about in terms of correlation coefficient, how strong you are going to fit the data. In one way, you can say that the model accuracy, and the second way is error. So error is, for example, you take these 2 values. Let me show you that. This is the tool, navigator tool. That's what I'm telling you. Results. You can go back to the one where I've done correlation. See, I want to go back to the correlation graph somewhere we have done. Yes, this is the one. So now I want to understand the error between these two. So you see here the average error, the average disparity I can find out from this S value, but exclusively I want to know the error between this 25th exponents. This is let us say exponent number 25. So what is the error between 25 experimental value and 25th predicted value? So let me go back to the data what we have with us. So now 25th experiment number, you see the error between these two. So you differentiate 0.235 minus 0.2177 by the initial value into 100, you are going to see the error percentage. Normally, in any statistical analysis, we should expect less than 10%. The error should be less than 10%. And if the error is close to the 0, you are going to see the strength of your model. So it is permitted, generally, there is no odd-bound rule for error values. So as per experience, it is below 10%. So if more and more error you can see between the prediction and experimental values, that means the model which you developed is not predicting correctly. That is, we can conclude. In that way, we can conclude.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, one more question from Ms. Lakshmi Kala. Explain the contour graph.
Here, you see the contour. This is a three-dimensional contour plot. So on the x-axis, you have A is the cutting speed, and on the y-axis, B is the feed rate. And where is the z-axis here? So whereas in a 3D surface plots, you have the z-axis, y-axis, x-axis. But in contour plots, you don't have z-axis. The z-axis itself is the color. Clear? So now, by seeing the range here, VB, you see the color, this thick blue color, its range is 0.05 to 0.1. In your VB values, whatever you have the data with you, so in the data, so how many values, how many data sets fall in this range, 0.05 to 0.1? Of course, you can reduce the number of colors to have more clarity and more clear-cut conclusion. So for this, let me conclude like this. See, in 0.05 to 0.1 in this color, you see, let me put the cursor on this color. So area is VB is, so you see, VB 0.05 to 0.1. So I'm having more area here in this range. That means the values in this range will influence in this range. So got influenced by A and B significantly, and followed by the next color, and so on. This is how we conclude from this contour plots. And of course, I didn't select options. So you can have the contour line so that you are going to have more clarity. If you go back to the contour plots, 3D contour plots. So here your options are there, contour options. Sorry. So I need to select the proper window. So in which worksheet I have done this one. So you need to go to, I'll explain and you can practice later, and go to the contour plot. So here in contour options, you can select some options, the color, number of parameters like ranges. You can reduce the ranges, and you can reduce the number of colors, and you can have the contour lines, and you can have data points on that, so that you can give clear-cut conclusion.
So just one last question from Mr. Vivek Narnavare. Explain some basic actions and tools required to use the Minitab effectively.
Okay, so basics, actions, and tools required to use Minitab effectively. So one thing is like, so whatever I presented today is just like for beginners. And if you would have asked me about the design of experiments or artificial neural networks, advanced one, how do I explain that one differently? So now you ask the basics. No, basics, you need to have Minitab support. So you have Minitab support with you. And if you go to assistant, and you can download a Minitab support tool, or else in Google, if you click, if you type Minitab support on different topics, like for example, a design of experiment, you need to understand basics of design of experiments you want. You type like Minitab support design of experiments. You are going to have complete notes with the given steps. So for example, here in Minitab, so I mentioned like how to go to DOE. I have to first click statistics, then DOE, and if I want to do Taguchi, I need to click Taguchi, and in next step, what I need to do, the basic information I require. So for that, I need to create Taguchi. This procedure is explained clearly in Minitab support tools, Minitab support files. So that is how you can have your basic information. And effectively, how do we use effectively means you need to see, that's what I mentioned here in my presentation. So I used this data I've taken from this paper, and I solved and I correlated my results, and I compared with the existing paper results and matched 100%. That means we solved this Minitab effectively. So that's what we compare always our analysis with existing papers. Always you try to select good papers and you try to solve those papers using Minitab support tools. You will get the correct values which are available in papers. So that is how we learn effectively. So whatever you do, just we don't think that that is correct. So always we need to compare our results with existing works.